Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. While I was over at Guitar Summit in Mannheim in Germany in September this year, I stumbled across this amplifier company called AMS. Now, Guitar Summit is a silent guitar show. There's not sort of guitars and amplifiers blaring everywhere, but for some reason AMS had this booth, and I went in there with a Plexi guitar and I plugged into an AMS DBA 50 like this one. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because I think this has got to be one of the most versatile Marshall style amps ever. Now, I know I've said this is the greatest amplifier before and all of that sort of stuff, but I'm using this amplifier in a completely different way than I normally record. When I normally record, I normally plug into a load box. I normally plug into a 2-notes Torpedo Studio. I can crank up the amp to any level that I want, and I'm not actually hearing that level, and I'm not being disturbed by the amount of volume that's coming out of the speaker, because all of that volume is going into the load box, and that is then going into my recording device, which is how you guys normally hear my videos. Now, in this video with the AMS DBA 50, I've got it coming straight out the back of the AMS amplifier, going into the 1x12 speaker that is paired with this amp. Now, I'll stop talking in a minute and get onto some sound examples, but the reason that this is really important is because I normally crank up an amplifier to get the amplifier to its optimum level so you guys can hear how an amplifier is supposed to sound. Now with this, I can have it at whisper quiet volumes and it sounds absolutely incredible, which is honestly the first amplifier I've ever come across that can do this. Just to demonstrate that, first of all, I'm going to turn off the microphone that is on the cabinet and I'm going to let you hear how loud it is in the room. So this is how loud the amp is. 1, 2, 1, 2. And as you can hear, that's probably below bedroom volumes. That is whisper quiet. And it sounds like a cranked amp. I've honestly never heard a valve amplifier that can do that. This thing is absolutely incredible. So what I'm going to do in this video is to go through all the sort of sounds that you can get out of this. But let me explain what this is first of all. It's a KT77 based amp. Now you can think of a KT7 a little bit like an EL34, so it's Marshall based. As you can see here, it's called the DBA 50. That's a dual British amp 50. What this is basically a Plexi on one channel and a JCM 800 on another channel. Now, I don't really know of any other companies that do that as well. Both of these channels are absolutely fantastic. And I know I always use words like this. Honestly, if you guys can get to try one of these amps out, you will not be disappointed. They are unbelievable. So let's start off with the clean channel. Now, what I'm going to be doing during this video is to switch between a variety of different guitars, so you can hear it with a Telecaster, Strat, humbuckers, a 335 and a Les Paul. Guitars like that, so you can really hear what this amp can do. The clean channel, or the Plexi channel, works as you'd expect a normal Plexi to work. But with this amp, you don't have to jump the channels like you would on a Marshall Plexi. All the jumping's done internally, and gain 1 and gain 2 are all connected. Now what we've got here, we've got gain 1 and gain 2, and you can think of this as your normal or your bright channel on a Plexi. So if I bring back gain 2 and turn up gain 1, we've got the darker input of the Plexi. and gain 2 is the bright channel. If this amp just had this channel, I would be more than happy. But just like a normal Plexi, we can really drive the front end. Now again, this is a whisper quiet. This is bedroom volumes at the moment. Now me personally, I'd set the amp like this. I'd have the gain 1 rolled back. Obviously this is like a Plexi being jumped, and gain 2 up a little bit, so we're getting more of a bright sort of tone. We've got a 3-way bright switch. So if you've got something like a Les Paul, which is a bit of a darker sounding guitar, you can really brighten it up. And if you've got like a Telecaster, which is a bright guitar, we can lose all of those sort of ear-piercing treble frequencies. Now, for me personally, I like it on bright 1. And on this channel we've also got a fat switch. So for me, that is my ideal Plexi tones, and I don't have to run it at a volume that's going to basically kill your hearing. So let's switch over to channel 2. Now this is, as I said, like a JCM 800, but it's got a couple of tricks up its sleeve. Sounds like a cranked JCM 800 again at whisper quiet volumes. Now with this channel we've got a mid boost and a fat control. For me, with the mid boost taken out, it's a little bit scooped. But those of you that like a more sort of mid scoop sound, absolutely perfect. But for me, it's always with that mid in. Now if we move past the EQ, you'll see we've got this character switch. This is where it becomes a little bit different to a JCM 800, and in my mind it becomes more like a Marshall Jubilee. Now what this is different clipping modes that you can bring into the circuit. Now on a Marshall Jubilee, apparently it's in a different place, but what we can do here is to have it in the central position. which to me is my ideal Marshall sort of tone, or we can switch it to a different clipping mode on the left. And again, a different clipping mode to the right. Now, as you bring in the different clipping modes, the volume of the amplifier does decrease, but you can just balance that. And let's take the fat switch out. So now we're getting into more of that sort of Friedman, modded Marshall sort of tone. Now, right at the end of the amplifier, we've got the master, the presence, and the low punch. The low punch, I guess you could think of like a depth control on the more modern Soldano type of amps, where we're adding in a lot more bottom end. Now, for me, I like it with the low punch back a little bit. Now, something else that makes this a much better choice than a lot of Marshall style amplifiers is that it's got a fully buffered effects loop in there. So if you want to use like big long cable runs, or you want to use digital effects, they work absolutely perfect with this amplifier, and that's exactly as you're hearing it today. Now, this for me is one of the best Marshall style amplifiers that I've ever heard, and the fact that you can get it at whisper volumes just makes it, for me, the most useful amp I think you can get out there. This can really do anything from, as I said, and as you're hearing, whisper, quiet volume bedroom levels to sort of full on, you know, big stage gigs. It's absolutely incredible. Anyway, I really hope you guys got something out of this. If you did get something out of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, click on the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.